Hey, did you know that most mortgage brokers have their priorities way out of alignment, out of whack? And in this video, I want to show you why. I've been coaching brokers for close to 20 years. And when I show people what's on the screen here, and I tell them that they've been doing it literally the reverse opposite of what they should be doing, their business and lives change. So let's get straight into it. If I can flick over. Now let's get this started. I built this session for our members around this time last year, and I thought I wanted to share it with you because we called it business alignment. And it's really about the priority hierarchy of a successful business. I know there's going to be some of you, some brokers out there that are super successful that are going to try and tell me that this is not true and that if I just prioritize my clients, number one, then that's going to create a big success. And that's true to some degree, but I've seen a lot of brokers prioritize their clients and their life and business kind of falls apart, right? And I don't want that to happen to you as a broker business owner. I want to help you build a business, right? And so I use the analogy to start with a little bit like a car. Most of you, I'm guessing all of you drive a car, right? And all cars, as you know, need a wheel alignment because if you don't have a wheel alignment, you wear out your tires, there's rattles, there's shakes. It's not a smooth ride. So the wheels have to be in balance to operate the car smoothly and effectively. It's the same in business. You need alignment to achieve balance, to maximize yourself, operate effectively and efficiently, and then maximize the outputs, of course, towards your goals. And the easiest way of explaining this before I get into the worksheet that I wanted to share with you is this idea of the priority junction. And I'm just going to screen right on the screen for a little bit here because we've got your priorities on the left and a whole bunch of different outcomes on the right. And your priorities and how they are ranked lead to particular outcomes, right? And I see this all the time. And the way you order your priorities, how you spend your time, can wildly affect the outcome. And I see a number of things. I see some bad outcomes. I see some average outcomes. And I see some great outcomes for brokers, and it does stem and come back to their priorities. So let's imagine you've got priorities. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with your time. Let's call them ABC, right? And you might prioritize those in the order of C, B, A. For example, you do C first, then B, then A. And that's going to lead you down a particular path. Let's say that's going to lead you down the red path. You set those priorities, it leads you to a bad outcome or an outcome you definitely don't want. Now, we can take those same three priorities and prioritize them differently. We could have, say, B, C, and A. We could have B, A, and C, and those will lead to different outcomes, of course. And they might be better, but they might not be your ideal outcome, right? And let's say there's a fourth option where we go A, B, and C, and that's going to lead to the best outcome. Now, the thing is, well, the problem that I see from having coached brokers for 20 years is that most of the time the priorities are not in alignment with the goals. In fact, they're actually a 180. They're exactly the opposite. I'm going to demonstrate to that in a moment. And because your priorities are going to drive everything, they're fundamental, you've got to make sure they're right. And you've got to make sure that they're in alignment. So I want to challenge you in this video, like, what are your priorities? How are you spending your time? Now, I'm guessing that you want to be on the green line, right? Nobody wants to be in the red or in the orange. We all want to be on track to our goals. So really your goals are at the end outcome of the green line. That's the only way to hit your goals, right? Is, well, the fastest way to hit your goals. So it stands to reason that if you set some goals for your mortgage business, whether it's building a team, winning awards, a certain revenue, profit figure, volume, etc., a certain lifestyle, well, you're going to set that first over here. And then in order to hit those goals faster, what you need to do is reverse engineer it. And your goals will define how you need to prioritize your life, your business, and your time. Now, the point I want to make is that regardless of what your specific goals are, the top level priorities for life and business have to stay the same, right? Number one, you got to live the best life that brings you connection, meaning, and purpose. I don't think there's any point in having successful business and making a lot of money and helping lots of clients if it doesn't allow you to live your best life. And that gives you meaning and purpose, whatever that is for you. That's always got to be number one. And then number two is that we want to build a business that allows for and enhances that best life. Whereas most brokers do it the other way around. They work hard, prioritize their clients in the hope of having the life that they want. And it doesn't work that way. You need to first define what life you want to live and then build a business that actually enhances that. And that's essentially what the priority hierarchy is all about. So let's go through how should you prioritize to achieve your goals. So, as I said, regardless of what your goals are, the priority list is going to be pretty much the same. Whether your goal is to write $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion, whatever your goals are, this priority list should be the same for everybody. And I'm just going to give it to you because, again, I've seen this time and time again. We can chop and change these priorities, but this is the best way of doing it. So let's go through these together. Number one, now what most brokers do, I should say, is they focus, number one, on clients. They want to see the most clients. They dedicate all their time and energy to attracting and seeing the most number of clients. So that's in these three categories: marketing, clients, and admin, i.e. get clients, see clients, do all the admin associated with making sure we write the deals and make money. And also what happens is a lot of brokers get trapped or sucked into prioritizing new stuff in their business. They overemphasize the amount of time they spend on new strategies and tactics, right? And you'll notice they're neglecting a whole bunch of other fundamental things, right? Like the team. The amount of conversations I've had with successful brokers that are not spending enough time with their team is crazy. Strategy is usually an afterthought, right? Let alone optimizing for life and sleep. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop doing what most brokers do, which is prioritizing putting clients first. It's counterintuitive, but if you want to build a mortgage business that actually serves your clients better, you can't put your clients first. So here's how the hierarchy works best. Number one, rest. I prioritize 1, 2, 3 as rest, life, and work. As I said at the start, you've got to have sleep and a great life and then work. That's the way I see it. You might see it differently. This is how it works for me and the people I coach. So number one, well, sleep is number one, right? It's the number one health marker. If you aren't performing personally, you're not sleeping, you're not healthy, how do you think you're going to have a life and business that is in high performance mode? You're not, right? So sleep has to get priority. And, well, how much sleep? That's probably around 8 hours, right? So everybody should be getting around 8 hours of sleep. I'm not a health expert, but this is what the evidence pretty much supports from what I've read. Wherever you are right now, maybe you get 6 hours sleep, maybe you get 7 hours sleep. Whatever you want to do is think about where you're at right now and what the goal should be, and then allocate it. And the way that this worksheet is designed is that if we want to prioritize sleep, we're currently getting 7 hours and we know we should be getting 8. And then we say, right, where are we going to get those 8 hours? I'm going to make sure I'm in bed by 10 and I'll be getting up at 6, for example. And then what are you going to do? We call it a success key. What are you going to do to make sure that you stick to this priority? It's going to be different for everybody. Whether it's setting an alarm, making a commitment with your partner or your family, whatever it happens to be. Everyone's going to be different. But you absolutely have to prioritize sleep. Number one. Next, what we want to do is think about your life second. And when it comes to your life, I want you to think about your health, your own health, then your family, your connections, your interests, and your experiences. This is all still before we get to your business and work. So next, I want you to set your priorities for your life. What sort of life do you want to lead? And number one, you've got to be healthy to live the life you want to lead, right? So we've all heard the saying, when you get on an airplane and they do the safety demonstration and they talk about, in the event of an emergency, make sure you put your own mask on first before helping other people and your kids. And the same goes for business. If you're not sleeping, if you're not looking after your own personal health, how do you think you can show up for your family, your friends, do hobbies, and your business? Well, you can't. You're going to be firing on half cylinders. So you want to be focusing on your health. Next, family, connections. We've all heard of the blue zone theory. The blue zone theory, if you haven't heard about it, they did this study where they looked at the longest lived populations around the world, and they noticed these blue zones. I think there were 4 or 5, maybe 6 places around the world where people were living on average a lot longer than most of the world. And so they went to these locations and studied what they were doing and what they had in common. And yes, they had healthy diets, they had clean diets, but one thing that was common to all of them was family and connection was super important. They were spending a lot of time with their family and connections. So, friends, community, things like that. And we've mostly lost that in, the West, in Australia, where most of the work we do is in Australia. So we need to flip this on its head and start to reprioritize the time we spend with family and our friends and other connections, because again, it is what makes us energized. It's what makes us feel good. And it's what's going to make us feel good about going and building a business and performing at the highest level. So health, family, connections, then interests and experiences, right? Before I even think about allocating time for my business, I want to make sure that I'm allocating time for sleep, allocating time to make sure I'm healthy, allocating time for family, other connections, my own interests, and experiences I want to have, whether it's holidays, hobbies, things like that. Now, I would suggest that you should be allocating 33% of your time, it's 24 hours in a day, 8 hours for sleep. You should be looking at a minimum of 33% allocated to life sections, and then a maximum of 33% to your work. And I know far too many brokers and business owners are spending way too much time at work. Okay. So that's how I think of it. Here's the important thing I want to get to, especially when it comes to the work and the business. Okay. We've talked about the fact that rest and life has to come first. When I'm designing my calendar, rest and life goes in first, and then everything else after that. And when I think about my priorities within my business and helping brokers prioritize their time in their business, we prioritize it in this way: strategy, team, marketing, clients, admin, and new stuff. So what that means is when you look at your calendar and you look at the amount of time and where you're spending it, i.e. your priorities, the first thing you have to prioritize is strategy, i.e. knowing where you're going and what you want, and then learning how to get there. If you don't actually have a strategy, I find business and work pointless. If you don't have a goal, what is the point? So most brokers and business owners kind of have a strategy. They don't really spend much time thinking about it. They might come up with it once and then forget about it. And when they get busy with clients and work, the first thing that drops off is we forget about the business strategy and the planning. So number one, strategy, always. Second, team. We're in business, and one of the core elements of having a business is that you have a team. And ultimately, the team does all of the work with and for you, right? So if you're not spending a lot of your time and highly prioritizing time connecting and leading your team, you are completely missing the point of business, right? And again, through coaching lots of brokers over the last 20 years, I've noticed that most brokers will spend way too much time on their clients and their partnerships and other admin, and they put their team further down. If they get super busy, well, they cancel that team meeting. I've got to look after this client or this file. And that's completely wrong. You have to prioritize your team ahead of your clients. Then marketing. We're talking partnerships, we're talking promotions, we're talking content. Again, all the things that, when you get busy as a broker and in business, often falls aside. But if you stop marketing, you stop the flow of leads coming in. And so if you've got a mortgage business or you've ever been in a situation where you've had up and down volume and settlements, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's purely because you have not prioritized marketing ahead of the work. So strategy, team, marketing, then we prioritize clients. That's where we allocate time to assessing and solving clients' problems and client meetings. Then after that, admin. Yep, there's always other admin to do in a business. And then last is new stuff, right? There's always opportunities, ideas, tactics, strategies, what someone else is doing, what's something you learned at an event or a PD day. That stuff gets prioritized last. Now you'll see how this is completely opposite to most brokers. And when you think about the results most brokers are getting, you'll see why. Unfortunately, most brokers are getting pretty crap results, pretty ordinary, pretty average. And it's because their priorities are out of whack. They're spending all of their time running around trying to keep up with the newest and the latest and the greatest. They're bogged down in admin, spending all of their time with clients. And then with leftover time, maybe they'll do some marketing and strategy and have time for their life. The smart operators, people we work with, and how I run my business is nothing prevents me from sleeping and nothing prevents me from living my life. It doesn't matter how busy my business gets. I always put rest and life first. And in fact, I understand the capacity of my business. And one of the biggest things I do with our mortgage broker clients is understanding capacity, because we've all got 24 hours in the day, 7 days in the week. And if you're prioritizing rest and life first, and you're prioritizing your strategy and your team and your marketing, and then putting clients and admin stuff down later, you'll understand that the capacity of a mortgage business is less than you think. Okay, so that's how I think about the priority hierarchy in order to get it right. Now, what I'd like you to do is I would invite you to take a screenshot of this and go through where you are right now. Like I would choose this column here and I would write down how much time you're currently spending in each of those areas, and then how much time you would like to be spending in each of those areas, where you'd like to allocate it, and what your success key is going to be for each one. It'll be an incredibly powerful exercise for you. And I encourage you to start prioritizing your rest and life and business this way. Now, what I want to go through is one more thing. And this is where things get, real, because your time and priorities are constantly under attack if you let them, right? So we can have a look at this table and go, this is what we're going to do, and we can have all the best intentions, and then life and business and clients and other people's priorities will get in the way. I call them priority jumpers, right? This is other people and other factors wanting to jump ahead and get more of your time and priority, right? So what I'd like you to do is think about what could possibly attack your priorities and time. And then I want you to work out and think about, well, who's the actual victim here? Why is this happening? And let's think about how we can solve and prevent it. For example, an attacker of your priorities and time could be, here's an easy one, your clients, right? Clients calling, demanding, needing everything done yesterday, etc. Every broker can relate to this. We have our priorities, we have our diary set, and our clients start attacking and wanting to jump the priority list. Now, we can let them, that's what most brokers do, and then they wonder why they burn out and have really poor outcomes in their business and life. So we want to think about, well, yeah, clients are going to be an attacker of your priorities and time. Who's the victim here? Well, the victim is probably going to be you. The victim is going to be your team. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to put your team under unnecessary stress. And most likely, it could be you, your family, everybody. Also, maybe you could think that other clients could be the victim of that. And so we want to start to think about all of the ways that your priorities can be attacked and pre-think about how we can solve or prevent them, because we know it's going to happen. So I would do this exercise and come up with as many things as you can think of and try and solve and prevent them. So if we think about the attacker of clients, well, we realize the victim is you and your team and getting burnt out. And, why is this happening? Or why do you need this? What's the solve and what's the prevent? So I like to think about why it's happening and what you're going to do. So, and I've got, I believe, one more slide. So the last slide is what we call priority allies. So again, we can set our priorities. People are going to try and jump and attack those priorities every day, all day. And so another smart thing to do to make sure we stick to them is to have what we call priority allies. So in order to make sure you sleep 8 hours a night and that you prioritize your health and your life and your connections, and that you set and keep the right priorities in your business, your work, you need to work out, well, who do you need on your side, 1, 2, or 3 people, to make sure you actually stick to this. So for example, if we're thinking about your rest, who is going to be your core ally to make sure you get 8 hours sleep every night? Maybe it's your partner, husband, wife, etc. When it comes to your life and all of the priorities that you've set there in relation to your health and your connections, who are your core allies to making sure you do those things and you don't let other priorities overtake? And then with your work, same thing. We know we need to stick to this set of priorities in order to have a successful business and life. So who are our core allies? Core allies for work can be yourself, a business mentor, a key staff member, partners in your business if you've got a business partner, or even clients, for example. So what I'd like you to do is at least try and come up with one core ally to make sure that you can stick to the priorities that we've outlined in this video. Because if you do stick to them, you will be healthier, you will be happier, you will be more energized. And when you bring those things to your life and your business, amazing big things happen, right? So I guess in summary, there's 2 ways to run a business. There's the way most brokers do it, which is just to focus on giving up all their time and energy for their clients, and the rest of their life and their business gets the scraps. And that doesn't work long term. What works long term and actually creates far more robust, valuable businesses is flipping it on its head, looking after yourself, number one, and then looking after your business, number two, specifically the strategy team first and marketing, then clients and admin. If you start to live by this, you will have a far more valuable business. Put yourself first, be selfish. That's the point of business. fit your own mask first. And at the end of the day, we want to be in the business of mortgage business, not mortgage broking. So if you just want to be a good mortgage broker, great. Continue to focus on clients and admin and put all your time there. But if you want to actually build a mortgage business that works with or without you, this is the way to do it. And I guess as a parting thought, if you show me your priorities, I will easily be able to predict and show you your future. And so if you get your priorities right now to achieve the goals that you want in 1, 3, 5, 10 years, that's going to get you on the green or the accelerated path to achieving them. This is not necessarily easy to do because most of the world and the industry operates differently. So you're going to need some help to doing this. So of course, if you would like some guidance on exactly how to do this and staying accountable and on track, that's what we do inside Big and the 10X Broker. So reach out to us and see if there's any positions available. But until the next video, hopefully this has been helpful to you in your mortgage business, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.